Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to a full length walkthrough of the creating process using shape key based physics bodies. So in this video, we're going to be using the Mandy Devkits, but this should work for any shape key physics based body that you are working with across any platform, provided they're going to be using the BPSK add-on or some similar approach. Just adapt the steps that you see in this video to your liking and to the workings of the kit you have. So for the Mandy Dev kit, you can see we have these three folders and the guide. So I'm just going to go straight into the shapes folder and open up the blend file. All right, so we are in the blend file. The first thing that I want to do is I want to adjust the pose of my body. Okay, I don't want to create the clothing item in this pose. I want the arms to be in more of an A pose, although this is like a half A pose already, but I want to bring them down by 30 degrees. So always make sure you note the rotation angles that you are rotating by. I'm going to rotate this one by negative 30. Oh, that's the clavicle, negative 30. Okay, then for the head, I'm not going to be interacting with the head in this video. I'm just going to shift select the parts of the body that I want to create items with. Okay, then I am going to go to file, export, and then I'm going to export this as an OBJ, wavefront OBJ, to use in Marvelous Designer to create a clothing item. So what's important when exporting is you select selection only. Then since we're going to be using this in Marvelous Designer, I like to scale by 100. Then you want to make sure that apply modifiers is selected. Okay, but because this is a body with shape keys, this will not work. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back, duplicate this one with the shape keys because it has shape keys. We're going to first delete all drivers. All right, so you can see once the purple goes. All right, so we're going to delete all shape keys, and then we come shift select the parts that we want, and then export as a wavefront OBJ. Okay, so make sure to have selection only, scale by 100 because we're going to be working in Marvelous Designer, and that's just going to make our workflow easy. Make sure that apply modifiers is checked and you are done. Now we're going to open up Marvelous Designer to work with this exported body. Okay, so now that we're in Marvelous Designer, I'm going to go to File, Import OBJ. I'm going to click OK. So now we have the body in an A pose to work with instead of the standard half T, half A pose. Okay, so now that we've made our clothing item, let's import it into Blender. So I'm going to press Ctrl A to apply all its transforms, S.01 to scale it by the inverse of 100, and I'm going to press Ctrl A to apply all transforms again. So notice I haven't applied any of this onto the mesh. I haven't applied the pose onto the mesh. All right, so if I press Alt R, you can see the arm still moves up. So I'm just going to undo. Now what I am going to do is, as you can see, this clothing item covers the body, parts of the hand, as well as parts of the feet. So we have a case where we need multiple weight sources at once. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to transfer weights from multiple sources. All right, so I have a script that I use that I turned into an add-on. I'll upload this somewhere and put this in the description so you can get it for yourself. This just makes the whole multi-source weight transfer a lot easier. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the first object that I want, but this isn't the first object I want. All right, yes, it has the weights, but it doesn't have the physics weights. So the first object I want is actually this one. All right, so I'm going to add this as the source. I'm also going to add the hands. So pick whatever hands you want. If you want accurate weights but look glitchy in IMVU, use this. If you want just the hand weights, all right, just the hands without the fingers, that's what this one is for. This is for the hands that look the best out of the options in IMVU. So I am going to use this one because I just want the hand, right? I don't want any fingers to be involved in the weight transfer. I'm going to add it as a source, so add selected as a source. By the way, obviously this add-on can still be optimized. It's just a script that I used to use that I turned into a quick add-on to help me facilitate this process. Then also we have the feet. I'm going to add selected as source. So we have three sources that are going to transfer weights onto this item, which I will add as a target. Yes, the mapping method I want is interpolated faces, but you, depending on what you want, you can still choose nearest vertex, edge, interpolated edge, and all. Now leave this as 1. I recommend leaving this as 1. Then you copy weights from the source. So now we can clear the rotations with Alt-R, then clear any scaling and translations you might have with Alt-G and Alt-S. And we're going to add the armature modifier. Either one is fine. Then we're going to reverse the rotations. So coming down, we rotated this by 30 degrees. So going back up, we're going to go R minus 30. All right, so that's by negative 30 degrees. Then this one is going to be R 30 degrees in the positive direction. Don't mind this, we're going to smooth it out later. Make sure that preserve volume is checked, although that doesn't make a difference in this mesh because it doesn't have significant contributions in that regard. Then reverse any other rotations that you might have. So in case maybe you rotated the leg area to make space between the legs more, so maybe you are making like trousers, you would have to, if you had rotated it like this, you'd have to bring it inward. So that said, we're going to apply. All right, so we're going to apply this, clear the transforms as well. So now we have our mesh. Let's quickly smooth this out in sculpting. So at this point, you should have your mesh, right, which is essentially unrigged at this point. Again, look, I'm moving the bones, but it's not moving, so it should be unrigged at this point. We just reused the first set of weight transfers to transfer the weights to reverse the A pose. Okay, so we have an unrigged mesh at this point. The next thing that we want to do is want to configure the shape keys for these bones. Okay, we want to configure the shape keys for these bones, and that's going to be in our bone physics shape key maker add-on. So that's our BPSK maker add-on. The weights we need are going to be from this body in our case. All right, so this depends on the case of your own kit. For this kit is going to be this body, then yes, the method we want is nearest face interpolated. So I'm just going to transfer the weights. All right, now before I even proceed to making the shape keys, I want to preview the transferred weights around the physics areas, because that's what concerns me at this stage. Okay, what concerns you at this stage is the physics area. So at this point, I've just transferred weights from the physics body to the clothing item, because that's going to enable me make the shape keys. Now I'm going to add an armature modifier. Yes, I'm going to add this one. I'm going to add the shapes modifier. Then what concerns me now is I'm going to put this in pose mode. I'm going to make sure that the transition, right? The transition between these two as well as these two looks okay because of the scaling. So I'm going to select these two just to show you what I'm talking about. Then I'm going to set my pivot to individual origins by pressing the period key on my keyboard, then clicking individual origins. Then I'm going to press S to scale the two of them simultaneously. Now you can see that the transition between these two areas when scaled is a bit rough. So what I'm going to do is I am going to come to weight paint mode with Control Tab. All right, so I'm going to press Alt S. So with this bone selected, I'm going to scale it up a bit so I can see the effect it has and what I need to smooth out. So using my blur brush, we've gone through these methods before in a previous tutorial, and there are different ways to do this. So the one that I'm going to be doing in this case is I'm going to be using the blur brush in the weight paint tool. Then I'm going to just carefully smooth out this area. All right, just smooth out this area until it has a more gradual transition. Now make sure, let's undo all we've done. Before you even begin this, you want the options auto normalize and multi-paint on. All right, now let's go back. You can go as detailed and smooth as you wish, but this is just for demonstration purposes of what you can do before making the shape keys. Okay. So clear all the transforms. Now we are ready to make the shape keys. So I'm going to come back to my BPSK add-on. Then I am going to select the armature, which is already selected if you've downloaded this file. All these settings are configured if you have this file, but if it's not selected, it's this one that we're using because that's the one that has the physics bones. Then we want shapes drivers, and yes, let's update the bone list and select defaults. So these are the bones we want. Then we're going to click on make shape keys. All right, so it's made 48 shape keys, which is the number that you want in our case, because we're doing for both scaling and we're also doing for translation. So once we make our shape keys for our clothing item, we are essentially done with anything regarding the BPSK add-on. So all these modifiers, we can remove the armatures. We can even go ahead and delete the vertex group. So I'm just going to come to my BPSK, scroll down. I'm going to clean up by deleting the vertex groups. just so we can have an isolated test of our shape keys. So you can see when I move the bones, the dress doesn't move when you use moving the bones, but when I scale this and when I translate it, it moves. So this is what we want at this point. Now the last thing you want to do is you want to transfer the weights from your regular body, so not the weight source anymore. So I'm going to hide the weight source and then bring back my regular body, which is this one. Okay, then I'm going to remove this and add this. Then I am going to copy weights from the source and equally add an armature. Now our dress is rigged. Well, rigged for now. We're still going to touch up the weights, and it also has the shape keys that we want. So all that's left to do now is just smooth the weights. Optionally, if you want to leave the weights as sharp as they are, go ahead, but I'm just going to do a general smoothing. So select everything, come to vertex select mode in weight paint mode, weights smooth, all groups, and then I'm just going to repeat this just a few times. So 2, we've done it 3 times, which should be fine. Now remember, it's also important to limit total once you are done. We have weighted dress. Our shape keys have also been configured. The last thing we're going to do before we go into our game engine, which in our case is IMVU, is we are going to have a preliminary modification for the dress. All right, so we don't want the dress shape as it is in terms of the physics area. We want to enhance the physics areas in our case. So I'm going to scale and translate the physics bones to my liking. Okay, so this is what I want my dress to look like in the game engine. This will only work for the physics bones, the shape key based bones for IMV. So you can't do scaling with the hip bone, all right, or with the thigh bone. No, those can only work within IMVU in form of scalars. So I'll still look at scalars. So in order for this to look the way we want for it to look in IMVU, we're not going to apply anything here. We are going to just come to the BPSK add-on. We're going to scroll down, and then we're going to click Export Shapes Pose. So that's going to export an XPF of the state of these shapes that we're going to use in IMVU to make our dress look like this upon import. The last thing we're going to do is, of course, export our rigged object. So you can clear these. You can clear these transforms. We've already exported them. Then we're going to shift select the armature, file, export, FBX. So we're going to check selected objects. We're going to uncheck the animation. We do not need the animation. We're going to uncheck add leaf bones, very important. And then we're going to call this simple dress rigged and export the FBX. Okay, so now that we're in IMVU, we are deriving from the shapes compatible version of the body. That's the version of the body for MAND tagged SB. So if you're deriving from SOB3D, the shapes physics compatible versions are tagged SB. So I'm going to import the FBX. So I'm going to set up FBX. This is a dress, so I can set this as 5. We didn't do any baking, so if you're going to do baking, go ahead and sort out your baking. Let me quickly assign a material ID so it doesn't clash with our regular material. Hold on. Okay, so we've changed the material ID. No animation needed in our case right for now. Alright, so this is the dress. I'm just going to assign a solid color texture to it. Let's just give it a blue one. Okay. Then let's quickly change this to double-sided. We didn't do any baking in this case. Alright, so last thing that we want to do here is we're going to do the scaling that we want so that our dress looks the way we wanted it in Blender. So we're going to come into action, create a new action, and we're going to call this blink. So this works for most avatars in IMVU. If it doesn't work for your avatar, just try a new avatar when previewing your item and then it should work most likely. Then this is going to be an avatar action. We're going to click the plus sign. In morph animation, we're going to select add new XPF. Then we're going to select the exported XPF from our folder. Then we want to set the loops to 0. Apply and then preview. Alright, so that has enhanced this for us. So those results have now been translated to our dress even in IMVU Studio with just the setup. We can equally add actual scalars. So let's say we want to scale the shoulders. We want to scale the shoulders. And that's how you go about applying scalars, both shape key scalars and bone scalars to your dress items, your clothing items, your rigged items in IMVU. Hope that this helps. Thank you for watching. Be sure to leave any questions that you might have in the comment section so that they can be answered. And here is to more daily videos. See you soon.